Yeah.
Good morning.
The guest network was in fact down,
Hold on.
now, but I've just joined it now, so it's come back up.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. I've just got back on.
And sharing.
Yeah, so if you can just let me know if you can, oh, there we go. Dad, you can drop a note to say that you can hear, then it's all working, that would be great.
It's a shock. Just one of those mobile phones.
All working, thank you.
My computer.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so those of you who don't know, everybody in the room should know Renae by now, but those online, Renae joined us, is it 2 years ago now? It seems a bit crazy, but
Last week.
yeah, okay. So Renae has a small business. I say small, but it's growing all the time. So it's just Renae as the advisor, and you started off how many days a week? 3 days a week?
Well, 1, then 2, then 3.
And what are we at now?
We're at 4, trying to, it was probably really 8, but yeah, trying to keep it at 4. I've got 2 young kids, so
Yeah.
it's a juggle. Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I've asked Renae to kind of have a chat with us today is Renae does these incredible things on social media. I think that they're incredible. It's beyond what I could do. But she has such a social media presence. But you're also doing a lot in terms of you have those client courses for budgeting, which is a paid course.
Yep.
And that's then a pipeline for clients, right? So building those clients up, building their knowledge, building their understanding about financial planning, and then actually having those meaningful conversations at the end, like they've had that experience and they trust you, that build that trust. So I think it's really, really interesting what you're doing. You were doing podcasts as well, maybe, and seminars. So you're heavily involved in some seminars with lawyers,
Life coach,
life
specialist.
Yeah, great. Okay, so how have you built that?
Yeah,
so I'm going to hand over.
Okay,
to talk.
all
So,
right. So just a bit of, so it's a bit, sort of embarrassing to be putting myself up here in front of you all, but Caroline asked me to sort of share about my journey and kind of built my business, and I'm very much like you, Sean, very happy to share, but my presentation is not as polished as yours. But I'm really going to kind of focus on how I've sort of built and developed my business from ground zero, as opposed to kind of the advice processes or anything like that I've followed. And the reason, so just as a bit of background context, I've officially sort of started the business 4 and a bit years ago, with a baby and a toddler, which was just a mad time to start a business. But I hadn't been in a client-facing role. I've been in financial planning industry for just over 20 years, but I hadn't been in a client-facing role for about 7 years. So I'd moved kind of through into a practice management role, and I was running a practice for a group in the city. There was 60 staff, 6 partners, there was 20 advisors, and I was sort of come back from maternity leave, and I had that epiphany moment of thinking, oh, I'm running this business for this group of people that I'm actually not even aligned to. And we shared quite different values, and I thought, I don't want to be doing this. I really want to sort of go out and do my own thing. But it also came from a passion of wanting to make financial knowledge and know-how more accessible for people. You sort of will watch the rise of the barefoot investor and that phenomenon, and then there's, financial advice for thousands of dollars, and there was kind of not a lot in between for people. So that's sort of how the catalyst for how I kind of got to where I am. And so when I started my business, not having been client-facing for so long, there was no clients to follow me. I decided not to buy a book of clients. I did have an opportunity from an advisor I'd worked with 20 years ago to buy his book, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have a go and see if I can build this up on my own organically. And I probably, when I look back now, I kind of had the safety net of being on maternity leave, because there was actually, I decided to have 12 months off, and there kind of wasn't that pressure to go back to work. So I call it a bit of a safety net, because I thought I can just go back to work in 12 months or 2 years if it didn't work out. But anyway, it's worked out. So, but there was, I guess when I look back, there were two main things that have been the catalyst for me at, sort of getting clients. And one is Instagram and one was a podcast. And so I really sort of started this account probably in 2020. I didn't pay for any advertising. I haven't paid for, I've done a few ads for one of my courses along the way, but I have not done a lot on here in recent, probably 6 to 12 months. And the reason for that is kind of at capacity. And so you wear, as you all know, as business owners, you wear a lot of hats, and this was sort of something that's fallen by the wayside. But over time, I have just shared a lot of information, knowledge, pieces of my personal life as well on here. And I think that's actually really helped people understand, because it's a trust business that we're in, it's helped people kind of understand what I'm about when they come in to see me, that kind of feel like they already know me. And it sort of gets that initial conversation. By the time they come in and make an appointment with you, they kind of know what they're going to get. So I've got some tips there, but I'll just flick to the other one. The other key thing that I did in COVID, which I think many people did, was I started a podcast. I think I did 12 episodes, but this was also a great platform, which I'll talk about in a second, that has helped me kind of make a lot of connections and build out my network. So just back on the Instagram, it's just, I don't know if many people got Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn accounts here that they use for business. No. And so I know when I first started this, I was reluctant to kind of put myself, it still feels icky for me, even just like looking it up here on the screen. But I've always come from a place of sharing knowledge and to make money, I guess, more normal for people. And I've sort of done it in a way, I've tried to steer away my branding from corporate colours. It's like, people are scrolling Instagram for, leisure. And if something pops up that looks kind of a bit interesting, it might kind of help them engage a little bit more with what is a conversation a lot of people don't like to have. So for me, these are just my tips for what's helped me kind of along the way. It's really, sort of working out who you're talking to, who's your actual ideal audience, and just be yourself. Like the more raw videos and stuff like that I do on there, the better engagement it gets, the more kind of polished it is, kind of just looks like spam. So people want to see kind of really authentic stuff. I share a lot of knowledge, and you can share the same thing multiple times because a lot of people scroll through and it's always a kind of good reminder. I try not to post for the sake of it, and I try and kind of balance out my brand, what the business is about, sharing knowledge, and then also a bit of, sort of about me, because you kind of, as an advisor, you want clients that are coming in that are like you, you like each other. And one of the things that I guess in terms of crafting connections, one of the tips I got early on was find people to engage with on there that have audience that are like your ideal client. So there was a lady that I just started just liking her posts, and she was sort of liking mine back, and she makes she's got a huge following now, but she makes planners and organisers and shares people about like home organisation and things like that. She got me onto her podcast and things like that to talk about money. The audience that drove through to me, I think I got like 1,500 followers or something out of just doing things like that. So it was like, she's not someone in the industry, but completely outside the industry, but had the clientele that I wanted to attract.
And how many clients did you get out of that? Did you convert? Do you track that?
It's hard to know. Yeah. It's hard to know exactly, but like everything, probably 80% of the clients that I've got have come through the channel somewhere along this way. Like initially, this is really where the clients came from. Yeah. Now it's a lot of client referrals and other, people I've met, but definitely initially this is where they sort of came from. The podcast was a really interesting one. This was I was locked up at home. The business was just starting, and I thought this sounds like fun to start a podcast. It was a bit of a passion project, and it's something that I would like to pick back up again one day. But I invited a few different guests in to come and speak on here, and that was very strategic who I got in. I had Julia Newbold, who was the editor of the Money magazine at the time. Just trying to think who else was on there. Jessica Irvine, who was an opinion editor, money editor at The Age, came and she had a book and things like that. So I sort of collaborated a little bit with her. And anyway, there was a few people that came on that I've later gone on to do workshops and presentations with. The lady at Money magazine, she'd get me to do a few comments in articles. Same thing happened at The Age. And so things just kind of grew
Been in a
from
couple
there.
of magazines as well, haven't you?
Yes, I'll get to
Sorry.
that. I know. So, and the thing about this is it's 3 or 4 years old, but there's kind of 12 key episodes that I've got on there that I still actually direct people back to sometimes. So like, go and have a listen to that episode on super. It's all very general stuff, but it'll give you a good little bit of knowledge. So from that as well, I actually got invited to go on a Nova podcast that they were doing at the time. So I did probably 3 or 4 months on doing a podcast with Nova. And Kids Spots picked up that podcast as well, and I did a mini TV series for them on financial education at the end of financial year. So it was kind of just crazy, all the little stuff that was going on at the time. But what that really, I guess, organically helped me do was to build my profile, which sounds really icky to even say, but it, I guess, helped with credibility when, you had a business that was starting from zero. This is, just a bit of the media stuff that's kind of come along the way. So been in a few magazines, done a little TV interview and done a few things like that. So this is, sorry, I'll brush through that. So I don't want to be sitting here promoting myself, but this slide up here now, this is also sort of just through connections I've made along the time. This is a group of ladies. We've run workshops in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane over the last couple of years. So Landers and Rogers are a family law firm here, they're across the country. And we've been running workshops really for women who have come through the other side of divorce and separation and rebuilding their lives. We all give up our time to do this, so it's sort of a real kind of give back event that we do. But I've had a lot of clients sort of come out of this as well. It's a really nice kind of rewarding thing to do, but a lot of clients have come from this avenue too. How am I going for time?
You're okay. We'll push it.
No, I don't want to hold anyone.
For 5-ish minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just quickly the Money Mode School, which is the education side of things that I've got. And again, this is still a work in progress. This is the fun stuff for me, but that also probably when I'm busy with clients, this stuff gets pushed to the side. If I had a few more versions of myself to be able to spend the time on it, I would. But as Caroline mentioned, I've got kind of 2 programs that there's no advice in these. It's all just general information. It's all things that people could find on the Money Smart website, but I kind of just package it up, I guess, in a way for them. So there's what I call the cash flow course, which is essentially just a budgeting program, and then the Money Mode School, which is the steps that we would as advisors go through to help a client create a financial plan, but it's just giving them general knowledge on different aspects. And it's amazing what people don't know. So that's just a snippet of the cash flow course. So on there, there's all lessons. I use a program called Kajabi. So I create lessons in there, videos in there. They're not fancy. They're me on a Zoom video and just put the recording in there. And the same with the Money Mode School. So I guess, and I'm happy to go through any questions that anyone's got on those. I guess probably for me, a work in progress would be to create one of those for existing clients. So it's just like I've got a library of videos and things like that in there that they can go back to. But yeah, I guess these are my sort of top tips on connections that I've made over the journey in building the business. And it's really been to always think outside the industry. I've tried not to hang out at industry events and hang out at events that are just completely outside the industry, and think about the people that I'm helping and focusing on different ways of reaching them. The marketing is not self-promotion. This is a big personal hurdle I've had to get over with having my kind of face out there, is convince myself it's not about self-promotion, it's about how I can help people. And that being on socials or online is really about validity and a proof point. And people will say that because even like clients now that might have been referred to another client, they'll come and say, oh, I checked you out on social media, and then by the time they're kind of a really warm lead by the time they come and see you. And and letting people sort of find out about you online to determine if you're a good fit for each other before the meeting. And these are some of the things that I've done sort of along the way. So some of that growth's been like online stuff's been quite deliberate, and some of it's been very just come about along the way. But I did do a few social media courses. I did do some PR education because I have written a couple of opinion pieces for The Age, and that was really sort of overwhelming. But I did do this Hack Your Own PR program with a lady called Odette Code. I can highly recommend if anyone's interested in doing anything like that. She's very down to earth and just, really sort of helps you understand what that PR space is all about. I did get a copywriter to review a couple of the articles that I wrote to make sure that my grammar and everything was okay. I've spent a little bit of money on branding and photography, and I've outsourced a lot. Like, I am just one person, so I have had people from time to time help me with my social media, with the copywriting, as I mentioned, and scheduling posts and things like that. And I'm no expert sort of in the AI space or anything like that, but I do use some scheduling tools. I love Canva for the course material and content that I've created and social media. Use ChatGPT a little bit to come up with ideas on what to post, and if I've written a post that I like, I'll sort of put something like that in there and go reword this but in a different way. And Kajabi's the platform that I use for the online school. So that's my very rushed
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm all good.
Does anyone have any questions?
The social presence that you have,
Yeah.
what is your typical methodology of engaging with clients? Like Sean was, pretty well remote,
Yes.
Online. What's your experience, please?
In terms of the clients that I have,
Yeah.
I'm like where I've got clients.
Yeah.
I'm like Sean. I've got clients in Darwin, Brisbane, Sydney.
And those you're engaging online?
Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't met?
A lot of them I haven't met.
Renae, you said that you have to balance your posting and things like that. How often do you post? And I guess, you said, I think some of it's content, some of it different types of content as well.
So I think if I go back for the last 12 months, I've been a bit pretty slack. But early days I was posting 3 to 4 times a week. It always changes too. Like, I felt that it was a bit easier in the early days. Whereas now Instagram just wants video content.
Yeah.
So they don't want a static post. They want kind of video content. And I sort of just get too busy and don't get on there. But I think you've probably got to be on a couple of, probably 3 times a week, I would say.
Thank you.
And the more that they love the more that you share knowledge is what they want you to help people. So the more you can just share tips. And I remember thinking at the start, if I share too much information, I'm giving it all away. But the more you give away, the better.
How do you go with managing your personal with your
Work.
Instagram? So
Yeah, so I have shared my kids in there, I shared my husband. I've not a lot, just snippets, like just small little snippets. And like, we've got an old caravan, and sometimes
But that goes to validity, doesn't it?
it does, and it's like you're just a normal person. So
No, I meant that you've got your professional Instagram, and then you've got your personal Instagram.
Yes.
Yes. So I don't want to be bombarding my personal friends with,
Yes. Well, so I did have 2 separate accounts. I had the business account and a personal account. My personal account got hacked a year ago, and I haven't created another one again, which has been quite nice.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not that wouldn't be, I actually don't really like my friends and family following me on the business one. Like that's just, don't stay away from it. Yeah.
Have you got a plan? So yeah, I know like this stuff is resonating because this is the stuff I'm trying to work on. It sounds like, you know, you're like way ahead with some of this stuff you've done, like PR training. So now have you got a content plan with what you're trying to achieve, the types of stuff?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I have, but it's kind of sitting a little bit on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because you've just, it's.
Yeah.
Are you a content creator? Are you a business owner? Are you, like, it's really hard to find that.
Yeah.
That juggle.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I was saying to someone like before, like I'm sort of getting close to capacity on my own as an advisor.
Yeah.
And I want to keep doing this stuff, but then it's like, I don't have the capacity to actually take on any more clients. And you're like, what am I doing it for? Do I want to put on another advisor? Or so that's a personal crossroad that I'm at.
Have you got like Jack all the time, but have you got like a plan, like almost like a plan, right? You know, you make concessional contributions of 20 years to get
Yeah.
$1 million into or whatever. Is there something similar? Because I saw you've got hack your own PR in
Yeah.
terms of where you
Well, my
want them.
plan was to kind of, by the time my kids got to school, which is the youngest one started prep this year,
Yeah.
was that I had a business that I could kind of walk into, and then that's sort of where I got to. Now I'm like, shit, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But more
So,
like, yeah. Okay.
So I need to definitely work on that business plan.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean business.
No,
I
that's
meant,
what she means, like,
I meant like on a content, like
Oh,
forget
yeah.
business, like,
Yeah.
because you've grown an awesome following if you're
So
getting
I
stuff.
would actually
like,
like,
from
if I'm
that.
really honest, I want to write a book.
Yeah.
But if you want to write a book, you've got to have an audience that want to buy your book. So, so I did do with that Hack Your Own PR, I did do a little mini course with them about, you know, if you want to write a book. And so my focus is probably to build up my audience a little bit more so that if you write a book, then you've got people that are interested in it.
Cool.
Yeah. So that I've said that out loud now.
I'll check in every time.
We'll be your unreasonable friend.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. I don't like promoting myself.
That's great.
So we do have a break now. I've given us a little extra time, so we're going to jump out and we'll come back at 3:25. Thanks, Renae.
Time.
That was good.
Oh, I got to do my PR.